Oh, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are, not on Instagram. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from Layne headquarters in Tampa, Florida. It's time. 5 questions and okay, I'm done. All right, guys, if you have questions, I see a couple have already come through on Instagram. Can you become an insurable nutritionist after doing a certification? That depends on the certification. It depends on where you're located and the laws that are there. Ooh, almost went live with a random person. One of these days, I'm just going to go live with somebody, just see what the hell they would say. Alberto says, hey, Layne, been using carbon for 2 months. I think it's second to none. At this time, being at maintenance. Awesome. This is the best app ever. I reversed from 900 to 1,500 calories a day, losing fat. I look like a completely different person. That's what I like to hear. Let's see. All right. Some of these comments. Oh my God, pick me for the live. That's funny. Oh, hang on one second. Love the app. Made it through nursing school. Congratulations. Please explain how to use the planner when you want to log less or more carbohydrate. Well, in the planner, you can change your calorie intake based on the day. So, for example, I can't show you my calorie planner because I got doing live on my phone. But for example, in my calorie planner, I'll always allot more calories to the weekend, and therefore it will take calories away from the weekday. Now, protein doesn't change because we recommend people have the same amount of protein every day. But we do not allow you to individually adjust your carbohydrate and fat sources, and that's for a few different reasons. First off, if we allowed you to wildly fluctuate your carbohydrate intake, that is going to cause your weight to fluctuate quite a bit due to glycogen in water. And so that can throw off our measurements of weight, which can affect the recommendations of the coach. Furthermore, from an energy and adherence perspective, it is not typically a good idea to have your carbohydrate and fat levels fluctuate a lot. Now, if you find that you're consistently missing one of those macros or both, what I would recommend is to go into your dietary preferences setting and adjust your carbohydrate and fat ratio to a ratio that is easier for you to hit. What is the best approach to continuing a fat loss phase in carbon after an 8-day vacation? I would probably, it just depends. Like, I would take a diet break first off for the vacation time. And then once the vacation is over, I would just go back on the diet phase and just enjoy your vacation. But if you're not compliant, click not compliant. If you're compliant, click compliant and then get back to it. I'm new to Carbon Diet app. I'm sure you've already answered this, but why no snacks section? The answer to all of your questions typically is if you go to the settings. If you go to the settings, click customize meals, you can add up to 7 meals. So there you go. All right, let's see here. Larone, what's up, my man? Been in a funk here lately after ending a 5-year relationship after my fiance and I broke up. Oh man, I'm sorry. It was I thought it was because of my first breakup, and man, it sucks. 3 weeks not being compliant with food. I want to get back on track. Any advice or anything, please, just at a time of need, I'll take some tough love. I'm not going to give you tough love, buddy. I've been through some breakups in my life, and it's not an easy thing. First off, I'm really, really sorry to hear that. What I would say is that give yourself some grace. This is a very, very hard thing to go through, and understand that as bad as you feel right now, that feeling is not going to last forever, and it will pass, and things will get better. In the meantime, focus on the things that you can control, and be selfish with your goals and whatnot. I mean, our director of operations and I were just talking about this. Like when you're in a relationship with somebody, you basically like become kind of one entity, and you get out of that and you're kind of like, you don't even know what you like. You don't really like know necessarily who you are without that person. And so it takes some time to get that back. So give yourself some grace, man. I'm not going to give you a bunch of tough love. I don't think that's what you need right now. If I was there, I'd give you a big hug. For those who don't know, Larone's on every live, and he's been a Carbon Diet Coach member since I think the beginning. And he's a great dude, and I wish you the best, buddy. It will pass, as they say. This too shall pass, my friend, and focus on the things you can control. That's my best advice to you. Take this time to be selfish and focus on the things you can control. Hi, Layne. I noticed the app recommends maintenance for a couple of weeks before going back to fat loss at the end of a reverse. Could you elaborate on the benefits of that versus going straight back to fat loss? I think it's fine to go straight back to fat loss. I don't think you have to do maintenance. I think a lot of people, they'll get to the point where they either aren't ready for fat loss, or they really haven't had enough time reversing, but they don't really want to gain any more weight. And so, I promise you're not boring me. And so you really don't want to gain weight. And so for them, we kind of recommend maintenance. But you can certainly go straight to fat loss from a reverse diet if you've been in it long enough. I love Carbon Diet Coach, but the alcohol trafficking is really off. I'm not sure why you say it's off. If you are using the macros display feature, or macro calorie display feature, as it says when you click that, you will have to track alcohol manually because of the way labels are done. So I'm not sure what you're saying. Danielle says, yes, I've been there with you, Larone. Danielle, sorry guys, hang on. Stupid telemarketers trying to call me in the middle of live. Don't they know who I am? Oh, come on. Hang on. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. Cancel. Sorry, people send me random requests, and so I go to move this thing. Are you only considered compliant with your check-ins if the numbers are green? I will tell you what I tell everyone about compliance. You can click whatever you want. You can click compliant to anything. You can be way off, and you can click compliant if you want to. But don't be mad when you don't get the results that you want. I would tell people that I feel comfortable clicking compliant if my calories and protein are in range. But again, if I was prepping for a contest and I wanted it to be on as spot as possible, I'd be trying to hit all three. Pardon me. I promise you guys aren't boring me. I just yawn a lot of lives. I'm not sure why. Here we go. Time for a rant. I've been serious and lifting heavy for 2 months. Probably lost 4 pounds. I'm not happy with that. What's normal? I'm 51. Well, that may seem slow, but how long do you think it takes to change your body? If you got to a place that you didn't like, you didn't get there in 2 months. You got there over the course of time. In order to change that, you have to get there over the course of time. If you started investing money and you weren't rich in 2 months, would you be unhappy with that? If you had never worked on a car before and all of a sudden you decided to go in and start tinkering around, would you be mad when you weren't able to build a full car within 2 months? You have to keep this stuff in perspective. You need to stop. You need to stop looking at magazines at the grocery store aisle and believing what they say. You need to stop following Instagram influencers who show you unrealistic expectations of what you can do. You need to stop listening to everybody at work or wherever who tells you you're on this new diet and they lost 10 pounds. By the way, they've lost and regained the same 10 pounds 100 times during their life. You need to stop. You need to be in for the long haul. I look at fitness the same way I approach investing. I don't get sucked into fads and I don't do things I don't understand. I make good choices based on the history of data about the stock market, and I make good choices about my health based on the plethora of research data about what works. And I trust the process and I don't get impatient, because getting impatient is a good way to lose your ass. If you're impatient about this stuff, you might as well just stop, because it's not going to work. You got to be in it for the long haul. So continue to resistance train, continue to be consistent with your diet, and you will see results in time. It may not be as fast as you would like. Most times we don't get things as fast as we would like. That's called life. So if you want to have lasting being the important word, results, you need to make it a lifestyle and be consistent for a long period of time. I trained hard for 3.5 years before I competed in bodybuilding. By the time I got to my first show, my legs were terrible, even though I had been training them hard for over 3 years. 17 years later, I set a world squat record. 17 years. 17. Many of you need to hear this. 17 years. Now, if I had just looked at the first 3 years of hard work and said, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm not ever going to have good legs. I'm not ever going to have strong legs. I might as well just stop. Then I never would have done that. But I did it because I trusted the process and I kept showing up. And so I invite you to do the same. Okay. And 4 pounds is fine. That's a perfectly fine progress. I tend to overeat in the weekends because I'm so hungry during the week. Advice, I worry I'm negating all my work on the weekends. Maybe increase your calories during the week. Or maybe you are trying to lose fat at a time when it's not a good time to try and lose fat. Or maybe you need to embrace the fact that to get leaner than where you currently are, it's going to require you being hungry at times. Like I find all these people who are like, you know, they want to be shredded and they want to lose more body fat, but they also don't want to have to work out too many hours in the day, and they don't want to feel hungry. Guys, you can't have it all. You can't have it all. I'm sorry. I wish you could. Okay, let's see what other questions we got in here. Facebook and YouTube, where are you guys at? Come on, come on. You're letting me down. Sort yourself out. Can stress and anxiety inhibit fat loss? I think they can probably change the composition of fat loss. So there's two aspects to this. They can change the composition. Probably you lose more from lean body mass compared to fat mass. And they can change energy balance possibly because if you're stressed and anxious, people respond to that different ways. Some people end up not exercising and not moving as much because they feel so bad. Contrarily, me, I tend to lose a lot of weight when I'm stressed and anxious because I end up just not eating because I don't have an appetite. But other people have bigger appetites and end up eating more. But usually you can trace back any differences to either reductions in activity, and I'm not just saying exercise, I mean like subconscious movements throughout the day because you don't feel as good, or increases in caloric intake. Hey Layne, brand new to the app. When setting up your profile, how do we know whether to select slow or normal metabolism? Also, for activity levels, what would you consider 30 minutes of moderate intensity cardio daily to be light activity? Yes, that would be light. And you should only select slow metabolism only if you have actually had a test done, indirect telemetry, and been shown to have a metabolic rate that is lower than normal. On days I lift heavy, I'm starving. I can run 8 miles and be fine, but if I spend an hour lifting, I want to eat consistently. Is this just me? Possibly. I don't have that response, but I would say that it's possible that it's more placebo than anything. But I'm not saying that that you don't really feel hungry, because hunger is not just physiological hunger. It's also influenced by our psychology and sociology. Here we go. Load me up on this one. If you're not living in America, will the food tracker be good and have a wide range of foods from other regions? So we have 4 databases: USA, UK, Australia, and Canada. Now, does that mean the app is useless for other places? No, it's perfectly fine for other places, and here's why. The app is a nutrition coaching app. Let's examine what a nutrition coach does. First off, if you hired a nutrition coach, a reputable one, it would cost you probably $200 to $300 a month. And what would they do? They would get an assessment of your current state of your body. They would get some details about you and your activity levels and whatnot, your lifestyle. They would then formulate a plan, and then you would do weekly check-ins with them so that they could figure out if they need to adjust that plan based on how you're progressing towards your goals. That is exactly what our app does. Now, if you hired someone to do your nutrition coaching, they would not also come with a food tracker that I'm aware of. Most one-on-one nutrition coaches do not offer mobile food trackers. We offer a tracker free. Now, fortunately, there are some things you can do. One of those things is we allow you to input my foods, so you can create custom foods. It can be a bit laborious, but after about a week or two, you will have all the foods in your database built up that you pretty much use, and then you're good to go. Now, the other thing you can do is you can track using a different app, such as MyFitnessPal or any of these other ones, and then all you need to do to get your data in Carbon is at the end of the day, you can get your recommendations from Carbon. You track it in a different app, whatever free app that works in your country, whatever. Go at the end of the day, click those 3 dots, click Quick Add, and enter in your total macronutrient intake for that day as a quick add, and it will take you 10 seconds. So even if we're not available in whatever your country is, you can still use the app and get pretty much the full functionality of it without missing a beat just by doing that. Thanks so much. I was just curious. Sure, no problem. I'm very passionate about this because I think whenever you come up with something novel, people will always try to compare it to whatever they perceive as being closest to it. So we go, wow, it's no different than my Fitness Pal. So why does it cost money? Well, my Fitness Pal will give you an initial calculation, but it won't adjust that based on how you respond. And you can't do calorie cycling or anything like that in my Fitness Pal. So yeah, they're not really close. Let's see. When creating a new goal, is there a way to see the new macro targets and then back up to the rate of change? Thanks. I'm really enjoying the app. No, because that would kind of fall under the whole don't game the app. If you don't like the macro target you got, though, I would adjust your rate of loss. But I mean, it always never fails to surprise me. People want to lose, a kilo of body fat a week, and then they're surprised when they get low macros. My MyFitnessPal subscription ended, so I started tracking in carbon. Aren't calories supposed to zero out when all macros are zero? Maybe I misunderstood. Well, first off, this is a problem with any tracker because one, food companies are allowed to subtract the calories from fiber off their food labels, and two, because of rounding errors in food labels and also alcohol. So because of all those, alcohol is not listed as a macronutrient, but it still has calories. So because of all those, when you get to the end of the day, you can have zeroed out macros, but you may have calories remaining. Now, carbon has worked around this with our what's called macro calories feature, which means that the calories are calculated directly off the macros you consume rather than independently, which is what other trackers do. So I would go into your settings, display preferences, click macro calories, and then you'll be able to do that. And then they will zero out perfectly. But you'll have to track alcohol manually. I've been feeling hungry by the end of the day. I'm in my first week. Is that expected? Sure. Try not to read too much into hunger. Try not to. If you're in a caloric surplus, sometimes you'll be hungry. If you're in a deficit, sometimes you'll be hungry. If you're in a deficit and losing a lot of body fat, you're gonna be hungry a lot. But try not to read too much into it in the short term. When to reset the planner? You can reset it on your check-in day after you've checked in. What's the best way to track a marinade for chicken or steak? Very, very, very easy. Pour the marinade into a bowl, weigh how much marinade you put in. Then when the steak comes out or whatever comes out, weigh how much you have left over. The difference is how much was absorbed by your steak. Very simple. This is the lady who asked about only losing 4 pounds the first 2 months. She says, I want to thank you. Sometimes I have to hear that. Also, I have Carbon Diet app and I love it. Thank you. I'm glad you were open to having some tough love. And hope you understand, like, I'm not actually mad at you or anything like that. I'm just trying to provide perspective, I suppose. Hang on, guys. Meeting my calories at the end of a week, but macros are not what is suggested. Fat is usually higher and carbs and protein lower. At the end of the day, calories in and calories out is what's more important than the ratio of macros. Yes, it's more important, but the ratio of macros is not unimportant. In fact, your protein intake will change calories out because protein increases. Sorry, I've got some wild hair going on. Protein has a greater thermic effect of food, so actually can increase energy expenditure. So all sources of calories are not equal. And so if you're low on protein, look, you can click compliant if you're not hitting your protein intake. Just don't be mad if you're not making the progress you want to make. Like I see this in the Carbon Diet Coach group all the time. Can I click compliant? Sure, you can click compliant for whatever you want. But then they're the same people that a week later are like, well, I'm not making progress. This app doesn't work. And it's like, well, is the app not working or are you not working? David Goggins calls that the accountability mirror. So I should prioritize protein is what you're saying. We prioritize protein in our recommendations. You don't have to eat like boatloads of protein, but a high protein diet has a myriad of benefits. Hi, Layne and team. Grateful for this wonderful app. Just a query. My wife is under hypothyroid medication. Would it be possible to possibly come off this medication if she reaches a healthy body fat? Possibly, but it's probably really individually dependent. You're welcome, Cheryl. Thank you. Hi, Tricia. Yeah, you would just create another new goal. That's correct. What are your recommendations for eating out when a scale is not available? Again, this all just depends on what your priorities are and what you want. I'm not going to tell you never to eat out. I eat out every week. Now, I have a lot of experience with tracking and I have a lot of experience. Sorry, I have a lot of experience. Sometimes I'm reading stuff as I'm responding. I have a lot of experience with tracking, and so I'm really good at estimating my portions. One of the things I do when I go out and I track is whatever I think the macros are, I'll add 10% to that. Now, you may need to add 20, 30%. Now, if you go to a big chain, most of them have their macros listed. You can find them, and so it's a little bit easier. So I'm not going to say don't go out to a restaurant, but what I will tell you is you are introducing a lot more error when you do. Okay, and this all boils back to it, right? Like, we'll get people who, they'll be like, this app doesn't work. It's not adjusting me right. Me. Meanwhile, they're eating out every day and estimating what they're eating, and they're wondering why it's not working. Let's be real, folks. Is it more likely that the app isn't working, or is it more likely that you are consuming more calories than you think you are? Guess which one it is. I'm sorry. Not sorry. You're eating more calories than you think. So, anyways, what I would say to that is that if you feel confident and you're still making progress, it's probably fine to go out to eat every once in a while, as long as you are making your best guess estimates of the food that you are taking in. But if you start to stall, don't be mad and blame the app. That's what I would say. Now, as far as an actual recommendation for what to do, usually what I will do is I will look at each individual component of the food I'm eating and try to find something comparable on the database. And usually that gets me pretty close. But also don't have rose-colored glasses. Like don't have like, a steak and be like, oh yeah, that was that, and then pick the absolute leanest cut of steak in the app database and be like, yeah, that was it. Stop. Be reasonable. Buy a purse big enough to fit a good food scale. You're welcome. Just here for Layne's impressions of complainers. Listen, it all depends on the complaint. Like you guys saw me when Lerone was talking about his breakup. I'm a pretty empathetic person when it comes to actual legit stuff. But when people just want to whine and they tell you they have these goals, but then their actions don't line up with what their goals actually are, I'm sorry, as somebody who lives a life where it's, if this is my goal, these are the actions I need, it is very simple arithmetic. Like people are like, oh, you're so motivated. It's not motivation. I'm not always motivated. I'm not always motivated to go to the gym. I'm not always motivated to go to work. I'm not always motivated to, brush my teeth. But I still do those things every day. Why do I do them every day? Because if I don't do them, then there will be consequences for not doing them. Those consequences, in the case of my teeth, is they'll go to crap. Consequences in the case of the gym is I won't reach my goals with lifting in terms of powerlifting. Consequences of not going in and doing the work here is I won't get to my business goals. Consequences of not putting in the work with my kids is I won't be a good dad, right? So there's always consequences to your choices or the decisions you make or do not make. So when I see people doing things that it's like absolutely mind-blowing to me as to they're wondering why they're not making progress. And it's like, of course you're not making progress. Like, is your ego really so important to protect that you can't admit that it's a personal responsibility thing? Yes, and I get that certain people have certain situations that make things more difficult. Completely understand that. Hey, everybody isn't born rich either, right? Some people have a lot harder road to acquiring wealth. But did you know that 80% of millionaires in this country are first generation, that they came from a non-millionaire family? That's in a book called The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley. Well, just like they had more hurdles to overcome, but still did it anyway because there were priorities for them, you can do the same thing with your fitness goals. So I just, when you understand, you only need to understand this one thing to understand why everyone has excuses, and here's why they're all invalid. Here's why. No matter what your situation, no matter what your excuses, no matter how hard it is, no matter how far back in the pack you start, somebody came from worse and did better. Someone took the situation that you're complaining about and crushed it. Therefore, your excuses are bullshit. That's why. And my excuses are bullshit. If it has been done, it can be done. I'm sorry. You're not a unicorn. You're not special. I know that's hard to hear, but guess what? Guess what? You're not special. That's great. That's awesome. That means it can be done because it has been done. Okay? I think one of the things we're struggling with right now is we have this continuum of personal responsibility versus I don't want to call it victimhood because there's like empathy. Personal accountability versus empathy, right? On the empathetic side, we understand that, your girlfriend broke up with you. We understand that you were born with this certain thing. We understand that you came from this kind of family. Like, we understand all that, right? But on the personal accountability side, it's all those things are true, but there's still choices. There are still choices you make. Now, the reality is all that exists on a continuum, right? And we tend to get really caught up on these extreme ends. But on the extreme ends, if nothing is your fault, if it's all circumstance, I mean, this gets down to like the very thought of free will. Some people think there is no free will. If that's true, then no one is responsible for their own decisions, and we are all prisoners of our past and everyone else's past, and there is no freedom. To me, that's terrifying. On the other hand, we have personal accountability, which is actually absolute freedom. It means that no matter what has happened, what has gone on, we have a choice that we can do better. We can change things. So why do people run from this one? Well, because if everything is a choice, if there's a fuck up, it's also your fault. That doesn't feel very good. So our attempt to offset personal responsibility is to protect our ego. Okay, so anyway, that's a long diatribe. I didn't see very many hearts in that, so I'm assuming a lot of people did not like what I had to say. But sorry, truth sucks. I am consistent, but how to lock a day where you had more carbs and less fats? Typing calories shows less carbs, so macros are different. Again, asking about the planner. I already answered this. You can't adjust the specific macro ratios, and we explained why. Because we don't want people to be able to mess with those very much. We're just intently listening. I hope so. I hope so. How many of you guys use carbon? How many people on here use carbon? Who's not using it? Anybody not using it? Not have any idea what it is? You're just on here because you like hearing me yell at people? Please answer my question. Well, please, did you put it in the question box? Okay, there we go. Guys, so I appreciate the please. Please understand that I get thousands of questions on these things, and I really do try to answer as much as I can. I selected 0.6 kilogram per week weight loss. I have been losing I know why I didn't answer this. I've been losing 0.4 kilograms per week. No change in calories, macros by app so far. I've been compliant with calories. If the goal is not met, why no change? Because you're close enough. You're close enough that it's not going to change you. And here's why we don't have it do that. Because if it did that, every time you did not quite reach your weight loss goal, your calories would bounce all around. Because what would happen is it would, drop your calories. Well, now you'd lose too much. Well, since you lost 0.2 kilograms more, well, now we gotta raise them back up again. Well, then you wouldn't lose as much in loss. Since you didn't quite lose as much, now we got to drop them again, and your calories would just end up going like this. So if you get within a certain percentage of your weekly goal weight loss, the app will not change you. But if you continue losing like right around there, it eventually will change you. But also, if you have specific questions about the back end functions of the app, which this is, you need to contact support because only they can look at your data. Just listening for reinforcement. The app has been perfect for me. Love hearing it. So what you're saying is results don't give a fuck about your excuses. Hey, listen, you can have results or excuses, but it's difficult to have both. I love it. Using it for 5 weeks now. I use it. Awesome. Not using it. That's cool. But why not? I am using carbon and considering taking the step to the workout builder. The workout builder is awesome. Will carbon recommend a reverse diet? Yeah, if your macros get too low, it will recommend a reverse diet. App has really helped me stay consistent. So thanks a lot for that. You're very welcome. I'm a carbonite. I like that. Those of you who aren't using it, why aren't you using it? Just question. What can I help belie your concerns? Or is it just something where you don't feel like you need it? What are your thoughts on a reverse diet for kids under 18? I was a competitive D1 athlete. If I ate better in high school, I would have done significantly better. What age would you start? Well, I would just say you don't even necessarily need a reverse diet. You just need to fuel your body. God, this is such a female thing where females do not want to fuel their body. I cannot tell you the number of times where I've had a female client or somebody on carbon has gone to a reverse diet, increased their calories, and all of a sudden they start dropping weight. You know why? Because they're not starving themselves anymore and they feel good in the gym and they're actually able to push some weight. They're actually able to get some intensity going and they actually start losing weight. Like the number of women, like I've worked with a couple of MMA athletes and it is absolutely atrocious what they eat. Like not in terms of bad thing. They eat nothing. They eat nothing. Except for when they're binge eating and then they eat a ton. Quality food and consistency. Stop starving yourselves, ladies. Train like a boss and eat to support performance. If you want to drop body fat, you can do that. But the number of women who spend so much of their life dieting, ladies, who are you doing it for? Who? Because I can tell you, men don't really care that much. Like, yeah, I mean, like, we would like somebody to not have excessive amounts of body fat. But like, you know, within like, you know, I've seen my wife at all different ranges of sizes. And to me, she's just as beautiful in every size that I've seen her. Like, and that's within a 15 kilogram range. So like, are you doing it for other women? Are you doing it because of something in your childhood? Like, really think about this. Like, I was at a seminar one time and it broke my heart. I said, when did you all first start dieting? And I said, who started, you know, after age 18? Hands went up. Who started after age 15? Hands went up. You know what the youngest age was? 5. There was a girl in the audience who had started her first diet when she was 5 years old. And ladies, if you have kids, so I'm going on a rant. I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on you ladies. I love you all very much. But some of y'all need to hear this. If you have kids and you call yourself fat, you will give your daughter an eating disorder. Almost guaranteed. Do not do it. Period. You are never allowed to say that in front of your child, your daughter or your son. You're not allowed to do it. Don't do it. You're only doing it because you want to hear somebody say, no, you're not. Stop putting yourself down. Some of y'all need to hear that. So anyway, you know, I can't tell you the number of women I've met that said, you still didn't answer my question. I'm so sorry. God, some people are fucking demanding. Let's see if I can find it. Where did it go? Oh, would you recommend reverse dieting for a teenager? Yeah, it's fine. But hopefully a teenager, you assumed I didn't eat. I ate a ton. Well, in that case, what's the problem? Are you looking to lose fat? Because if you're looking to lose fat, then calorie deficit. Like, you don't really need a reverse diet. Reverse dieting is not, reverse dieting is for a select group of people, either people who are constantly under eating or I didn't eat enough protein. Okay, well then that's a relatively, the reverse dieting isn't really, I don't think you really understand what a reverse diet is. I would recommend going and checking my YouTube videos out about the subject. But yeah, of course, I would recommend eating sufficient protein as a teenager. Absolutely. Mike says, hi, Layne. Love the app. Love your rants and Outwork supplements. Thank you, sir. Can you explain calorie deficit? Does that mean eating below your BMR? No. Your BMR is the energetic cost to basically keep the lights on. So it is your minimum energy requirements at your current body size to do nothing other than basically lay around. Okay. Your total daily energy expenditure is the total amount of energy you expend per day. A good portion of that is your BMR, but BMR is only about 50 to 70% of your total daily energy expenditure. So your NEAT is a big portion of it. Your physical activity is a big portion of it, and your thermic effective food is a smaller portion of it. But what you do need to eat below is your total daily energy expenditure. So if you were expending on average, for example, 2,300 calories a day, you will need to eat less than that if you would like to lose weight. But if your total daily energy expenditure was 2,300 calories a day, your BMR might only be 1,500 calories because, again, BMR is only a portion of your total daily energy expenditure. If you're confused about this, I highly recommend checking out my book, Fat Loss Forever, which explains all this stuff in detail. What is the science behind younger kids that are growing? How much protein do they need? When you're younger, well, in a way you need less protein. So need versus optimal, that's the first thing. So need is one question, optimal is another. Your protein needs are higher when you're a kid, probably 1.2 grams per kg. But your optimal protein intake is lower as a kid. You don't require as much to maximize anabolism, probably 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kg. Okay. Learned so much from the science of nutrition, loving carbon and the workout builder. Would you be coming out with a vegan protein? We're discussing it. All right, guys, that's it for me today. If you guys enjoyed the video, actually, sorry, that's why I'm on a YouTube clothesline. What am I doing? Guys, we are a Carbon Diet Coach, customized nutrition recommendations that get adjusted based on how you progress, just like a nutrition coach would, for $9.99 per month. If you guys have any questions, please shoot us a DM. We're happy to reply. We also have an amazing, amazing Facebook group where I give a lot of tough love. You all know this, but I love you all very much. And I mean, the app is just incredible. Come on. Like, there's a few people who said they weren't using it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. But I'm telling you, for $9.99 a month, it is the best buy in the fitness industry, period. You saw all the people on here saying how much they love the app. If you've been thinking about it, you're on the fence about it, download it, subscribe, sign up to the Facebook group. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Hope you guys have a freaking awesome weekend, and I will catch you guys next time.